So today we're working on a 8x4 left wedge or wing, the 67-degree one. And then after we'll mirror it to create a right wing. So we'll go to Onshape and open up our parts bin. We can see that we already have our variables established. We have peg height, peg depth, brick unit, plate height, and brick height. Pretty much every measurement on almost any Lego is based on these units. All right, so that I don't mess up my other Legos, I'm going to turn off the previous Legos so I don't see them in my workspace by clicking the hide button. Now I can zoom out a little bit and start a new sketch on the top view. View straight on, and then as always I'll start by drawing the rectangular shape for my Lego block. And I can dimension how wide it is and how long it is. So I was doing a 4x8 wing, and so it's going to be 4 brick units wide. Brick unit times 4. And 8 brick units long. Once we have our overall general shape, we can go ahead and extrude that, our peg height. Or you could go ahead and remove the corner and the angle and only extrude the region you need. We'll go ahead and remove the parts and then only extrude the region we need. So on a left one, we have a rectangle missing from the top corner. And then we need to dimension that rectangle. And that rectangle is a 1x1 brick unit. And so I can just dimension one side and make the other side equal. Then we have an angled line that starts a little bit after that corner and goes to somewhere towards the bottom edge. I'll dimension the bottom angle first. So from edge of block to edge of angle, and be 1 brick unit. In the directions it said it was 67 degrees. Or this distance from the start of the cutout to the end of that angle is half a peg height, and we could do that as well. And if we wanted to, we can check our measurements, see how accurate we are, see what the angle might be. It looks like it's 66.5 something, so that's close enough for us. So now I'm going to extrude my shape for my plate height. I'll just unclick the regions I don't want. Leave blind alone. Change my depth to plate height. All right. Let's go ahead and change our color. right click, edit appearance. Let's make it green today. So now that I have the overall shape I want, I'm now going to start by putting my pegs on the top. New sketch on the top. Zoom in here a little bit. Put my circle in the bottom corner. Dimension. Peg diameter. And from the edge of my brick to the edge of my circle is going to be 1 peg height on both sides. Oops, that's the wrong variable. Oops. Try that again. So from edge of plate to edge of circle, variable peg height. So now I'll extrude my peg. The peg height. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my text on the top of my Lego peg just to save me a little time later. New sketch. Zoom in. Click my text button. Now I want to make sure I go from one side of my circle to the other with my text box and put my text in. And then I can adjust it however I need to get it to fit in the box. All right. Then we can extrude that. 0.1. Just enough to provide a difference in relief. Now I'm going to linear pattern the short distance of 3 pegs, and then I can linear pattern that group of pegs more. So linear pattern. This time we want to do a feature. And so for my features, I'm going to choose both extrusion 10, which is my peg, and extrusion 11, which was the text on the peg. Direction 1 is going to be vertical, and our distance will be our brick unit variable. And I want 3 this way. Tab to C. And now I'm going to go a second direction because I want to go 4 in this direction. Second direction, click my direction box, click my parallel line, change my unit again. Now I want to go 4. Tab to confirm. Looks like it's going right. And OK. Now the problem is each one of these are no longer an individual peg. So it gets a little bit trickier doing the pegs out here. And so what I will do is I will have to do those using what's called a surface pattern. So face pattern. So to do a face pattern, this is a little bit more complicated. I have to click all the faces I want to pattern. So I can draw a rectangular box going from left to right, and it selects everything in the box, but not anything the box touches. If I draw a box from right to left, it selects everything the box touches. So right now it's selected just the top surface and the letters. And now I want to make sure I click the cylinder on the edge as well. And I can zoom out and see that I only have one peg selected. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second peg here. That time I only selected the letters, drawing my rectangle. So now I'll select the top of the cylinder and the face edge of the cylinder. Now I can click direction, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go horizontal. My distance, brick unit, and this time I want 3. Tab to visualize. That looks right. And OK. And then I have 2 more pegs up here. Pattern. So again, linear pattern. Choose face pattern. I'll draw a left to right rectangle around my text. To only get the text, select the circle and the cylinder. Choose my horizontal direction again. Distance, brick unit, and I want 3 total, including the starting one. All right, so I say OK to that. So now I have my front of my Lego. Now I can turn it over and do the back. So I'll right click the bottom, put my sketch on, and then I need to use project a number of pegs so I can figure out where the lines intersect. So first I'll do the normal 3 I always do. Oops, missed that one. So now I have 3 circles on the bottom to make my usual holding peg. And I'll then turn it over, view it from the bottom, and draw my circles. So the first circle is tangent to my pegs. Tangent peg, tangent circle, circle peg, tangent circle peg, and then create my concentric circle inside that. Dimension that circle, and that is a peg diameter. Now I can go ahead and say OK, and now I'm going to shell before I do any extrusions. So we click shell, select the bottom surface of our Lego, and change my shell thickness to our peg height. looks like the text is giving the shell a hard time. So sometimes that happens because the shell is trying to not only shell the regular part of Lego, but it's also trying to hollow out parts of the text, and it can't do a distance that small on the inside of the text. So when that happens, I'll have to go back and delete just the application of the text. So to do that, let's close out my shell window. It becomes a little bit trickier, but I can actually move extrude 11 by dragging it somewhere else in line. Basically, I've now moved it beyond the linear patterns in Sketch 10, so I'll be able to use it again later. But now if I go back and I still see Sketch 10, it's visualized. Now I can go back and do my shell using Sketch 10. But I'll have to turn off that text. So I can right click on it and say suppress. Now let me shell. Shell. Click the bottom. Change my thickness to peg height. Say OK. And that looks right. And confirm. So doing the text was not any better than the way we did it before. So, but if I still want to use that extrusion I've created, I can drag it beyond shell 3 and then unsuppress it, and it shows back up. And then of course I can linear pattern that like I did previously, but I don't, for the video, I won't take the time to do that. So now go ahead and extrude that circle. And zoom in to see what I'm working on. There we go. Clicked it. And I want to add, and for my depth, I want to change from blind to up to part. So then I want to click my Lego. There we go. You might need to click merge with all or merge scope. So that way OnShape knows to merge it with the previous part to make them one piece. We say OK. And that looks right. Now I can linear pattern that. Feature pattern. Choose my previous extrusion. My direction is going to go horizontally down or vertically down. Distance is 1 brick unit. And I only want 2 this time because I'm going to have to go a few in this direction too. Linear pattern again. This time I'll still do feature pattern. My 2 circles. I'll choose my direction, going horizontally. Unit is going to be brick unit, and this time I want 3. Actually, no, it looks like I have 4. Tab to visualize. OK to confirm. Now I can just pattern this last one 2 more times. So linear pattern. And I can't do a feature pattern because the features would gather all of the ones I did in the last linear pattern. So again, I'll do a face pattern. And I'll just have to zoom in, click the top rim, the outside cylinder, and the inside cylinder. Choose my direction, horizontal, change my distance to brick unit, and I want a 3 total. Tab to visualize, and OK to confirm. Now in the real Lego block, there are some other things that actually go on up here with some small circles and other things, but they aren't really necessary for our purpose of doing this in Onshape. I do see one small error though. If I scroll down and look at the bottom, the pegs on top, when you snap a Lego underneath this, might actually intersect this angled surface. So we need to visualize where that will be. So to do that, we're going to create another sketch on the bottom. And I'm going to use project some of these pegs near the edge of my Lego. To see how they intersect the angled surface, and you can see one doesn't intersect, but one does intersect, so that would cause a problem. While I'm on the bottom, I also know this edge surface here continues all the way up into the angled line, so I'm going to project those lines and then use extend. Project, let me click those 2 edges there. And then instead of trimming, I can use what's called extend and click the line and then click what it runs into. So it's going to, oh, I forgot to project that angled surface. Project the inside angled line. Now I can use extend, click on the line, and click on the target which you want it to hit. Click on the line, click on the target of what we wanted to hit. So first I will extrude, remove everything out of my extrusion menu here. Click inside this area to extrude it up to part. Add up to part. Click my Lego. Click confirm. And there, I drew it in. Then I need to turn that previous sketch back on. Extrude, remove, and click just that little portion of the circle. And we want to remove, but we don't want to go all the way through our part. We just want to say up to face and click this face underside of the plate. And so now you can see it'll remove just this little corner here. And so if that's what I want, I can say okay. There we have our left-sided 67-degree plate, or the 4x8 Lego wing, if you want to call it that. Now to turn it into a right wing, we're first going to want to copy this one into our parts bin. And I won't do that on this video because it already has a different video. So I've imported my wing into my temporary Lego parts bin so that I have access to it later before I mirror it. I'm going to go ahead and turn off any sketches I don't need from my menu. Then to mirror, I'm going to create an offset work plane off of this edge here. And it doesn't need to be full 25 millimeters away. It just needs to be oops, it's a little bit more than 0.9. Maybe 2 to 3 is fine. We say OK. And what that allows us to do is that will become our mirror plane, and we'll mirror the wing about that plane. So now I'm going to say mirror. And I'm going to do a part mirror since I want to mirror this entire part. So I can click the part. It's then going to ask me for a mirror plane. So I select the mirror plane box, select my plane I just created, and say OK. Because I made the plane away from the object instead of just mirroring it off the back edge of the object, it made it two separate parts I can now see. Let me change the color of my one I just made. Let's make it blue. Now I can import this one into my temporary parts bin to use for later.